Hey guys, it's me. I've got to tell you, here I sit with my coffee. Normally I'm a decaf person, but I'm just going to have some coffee because this is my third attempt to get this video online and make sure that the volume's okay because I still haven't got the equipment that I need. It was actually sent out from the UK to Spain. Um, just before Christmas, and here we sit. It's now what, the 23rd, and there is nothing. And there is a part of me that I'm thinking, ooh, are we having our legs slapped here? I know we've got the COVID problems, and I'm certainly not suggesting that that isn't the reason behind it. But there is a part of me that thinks, as a Brit, am I being slapped here for um, being individuated as far as the group's concerned? Am I being ostracised in some way? Anyway, I'm not here to talk about the politics. I'm here to talk to you about Aquarius and how the Aquarian energy is going to be operating on the houses. Now, I need to point out to you guys that wherever you can be Aries, you can be Gemini, you can be Cancerian, you can be Sagittarian. It doesn't mean to say that these energies are going to be operating on that first house, third house, fourth house, or ninth house. You can be Aries, solarized to Aries, and it can be happening. This Aquarian energy can be moving on to your 11th house. You can be a Cancerian, a July born, and it can be operating on your 8th house. So there is going to be a colouring, of course, of that energy. We're going to have shades of, because obviously as we move through the houses, there is going to be an element of that energy working for you. So you'll understand, hopefully, as we get into this, where this applies. So there's this sort of, there's some sort of residual energy that's going to be working for you, depending, if you are Sag, you're going to maybe identify with some of the ninth house energy as well. So uh, bear with me, guys, and let's get on with it. I'm just going to get the bullets up again that were written an awful long time ago, so I'm hoping to get it right. And I apologise, I just need the caffeine at the moment. Wake myself up because I've attempted it at least 3 times and the volume has been shocking. So here we go again. Hopefully, I can do it. All right, guys. I wanted to talk about the first house. And how this Aquarian energy is going to affect the first house. So it's all about personal identity for you guys, I think. It's where the realization, right, of the self becomes very conscious now, the realness of the self in a way. How can I be myself? You know, I think these are questions that you're going to be asking yourself, stop being true to your own purpose, being honest with yourself about things and not caring about what other people may think about that. Um, the freeing up of you. So the questions I think Aries will be asking itself, where do you actually fit now? Where do you still fit in this place with this people, this clan, you know, um, what is your essential nature, and Aquarius, as I said, it does demand authenticity, guys. So breaking from the tribes you've hung with for 20 years or more, it's difficult, but it ultimately it's going to enable you to do that, and finally follow your own truth. And I think 2021, this year, is going to help you do that. And there's going to be a gradual progression. So the tribe members, your clan, your associates, the ones that have been really important to you in life. I think as 2021 starts to move forward now, it could be that it's time for you to acknowledge that we need to break from that now, break from those old philosophies, break from that pack, if you like, and allow yourself to do it in the hope that that person or that gang, your people, will allow you to do it and still accept you, and accept your decisions to do that. So accept your choices. So I think that's That's going to be important for first houses. I think 2021 is about having a relationship with you, and waking up to your own needs, guys. And these are the questions I think that you are going to be asking yourself going into further into this year. So, if I can't be myself within the group, then I'm going to be a group of one, and that's very Aquarian, by the way. It's also important to recognize, particularly with first house, physicality, guys. Now, I did mention it in the video that, yeah, we have to be mindful of the body, we have to recognize limitation, but particularly so with first houses, that first house energy, naturally Aries on the clock, it's Mars ruled, and the Mars energy, is the physicality. um, and it is warrior energy, and we can push the body a little bit. So it is important that you maintain a certain limit. Right? Be mindful of your limits physically, and to stay in good health, guys. So, although, as I said, it does apply to all of us, but particularly so, I think, with first houses. So let's move on to the second house. Now, second house energy is naturally Venus ruled energy, it's naturally Taurus. But again, I need to stress it doesn't necessarily mean if you are Taurus, if you're solarized with Taurus, it's going to be operating on your second house. You need to check in with me and find out where it is if you really want to get into it. The second house is about values, guys. It's about your net worth, and it's about your self worth, and it's about it's about money. It's about your skills. It's about your practical abilities. Um, it's about how we're going to earn money. And so I think that anyone out there who's looking for a new position, if it's operating on your second house, I think that this energy is going to allow you to release yourself from that old way of thinking. Think, actually, I could actually do that. For instance, if you wanted to break from the job that you've done for the last 25 years or whatever, um, but you've never felt at that point that you could possibly do that for whatever limitation. I think this is a time of change. So whatever the circumstances, I mean, hopefully it is not enforced change, but it may well be enforced change. And I'm not for a moment suggesting that anything that's operating on the second house, if Aquarius is operating on your second house, that you're going to be made redundant or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. It's about personal choice here. Although, the current circumstances the cosmos can often give us a little bit of a push, and we need to recognize those gates, if you like, those evolutionary gates as we're moving through them. And if you're mindful of that, and if you are awake, then there's going to be a part of you, your intuition, that says, maybe this is the right time for me to make these changes. So go ahead, really. If you don't want the academia anymore, and you've always wanted to open some sort of spiritual center or spiritual retreat in Bali, when we can finally travel there, then just know that you can actually do that. It's about having faith as well, that you can do that. Jupiter is about faith. So not allowing others to dictate to you anymore in your life as well, around these areas. So I think this year's a time to enhance your skills, guys. It's honing your skills. Um, you know, Applying yourself, working with what we already know, but applying it in a different arena, for instance. So, doing things that you've always wanted to do, but you never felt you could step away from these financial ties, or you haven't been valuing yourself, or you haven't felt that you've been valued in such a way. So, I think Aquarius is going to inspire you to find alternatives and to think outside the box, read those skills. And it is time now I think, to recognise your worth and step away from sort of tying and really trying situations, and stop giving your labour to a laborious, unfulfilling role. Right. I also, again, I want to refer back to Pallas, and don't forget Pallas, guys. in Aquarius. It's going to help us with these strategies. It's going to help us um, make a plan. It's going to the strategies, the logistics of it all. Right. So let's not forget that as we move through these houses now. Okay. So let's have a look at the third house. Um, I think the third house energy, um, this is about you finding your voice. How how have you been communicating your higher truth, and have you been communicating your higher truth, guys? And I think the real self um, is going to out itself this year. And I think you're going to be examining how you have communicated in the past. Um, information. How you've been really relaying that information. When have you when you've spoken, were you actually speaking from your heart? Was this your true self? Let's think about Mercury. Mercury, the winged messenger. And I think that's the key, guys. Am I living my highest truth? Am I speaking my highest truth? Am I communicating it to others truly? All right. So it's about finding the words now, finding the language to relay and communicate that truth. And even if it does upset the apple cart, guys, right? It's okay to think differently and to say things that you may not have felt you could say. So it is about, you know, voicing a difference of opinion and not being constantly compliant with something, not always in agreement, um, and still be accepted within, you know, within your right to do that, if you like. So the relationship or the social circles. So I'm a firm believer myself in good debate and healthy challenge. I think that's great, and I feel that it does fit perfectly with this third house Gemini energy for this year. And let's not forget that we've got the polarities, the nodal axes in both Gemini and Sagittarius for quite a while longer as well. So Gemini being information, I need to filter, I need to speak language, communication, and of course Sagittarius is truth, right? So yeah, the polarities, that's happening for everybody as well. So again, you want to know where they're happening, get in touch with me. Now then, let's have a look at the fourth house. The fourth house energy is about emotional security. It's about family. It's about your home environment, and your ties to family. And, of course we do. We do gain a tremendous amount of emotional security from family, but not just our bloodlines, but also our soul families as well. And how we define our role within that family, you know, is something that I think you're going to be looking at as well. You know, um, where do we obtain personal freedoms within that? In other words, it's a very difficult time for us at the moment. Some of us are very isolated from family, and we're all bubbled in this way, which is also very Aquarian. It's very Iranian in its nature. Um, Isolation, separatism, all of those things. But sorry, I digress. So let's go back and let's talk about this. So personal freedoms, where we feel obligated in some way to family, all right, or to our soul group, right? Um, this is the way that we've always done it, which is very Saturnian in its nature. So I've got to do it that way because it's sort of expected of me, the dutiful daughter, the dutiful son, Um, so these energies are giving us permission, are giving you permission, if it's operating on that fourth house, not to feel so obligated, guys, Saturn, even though it's in Aquarius, Saturn is guilt. So in Aquarius, it does give us a little bit of leeway there. So it allows us to maybe not feel as guilty and it's okay to be a little bit rebellious, okay, around that family issue. All right. So, I often talk to client and I say, thou shalt honour thy mother and father. However, I also say, in turn, what happens if they don't honour you? Some people's upbringing, childhoods, are very difficult, and but that child, it's like anything else. The child will love the mother, will love the parent more than anything else. And we can look back again at when a child does not feel protected, right? Um, but still, you can beat a dog, but it will still always go back, um, to the owner, for that nurturing. That's the family group. So again, forgive me, I digress, but it takes me down to sort of saying it's not just about blood, though. This fourth house, it's about soul in the broader view of family. So it may not be that you have a bloodline family. It may well be outside that. And I wanted to say that it's okay to free yourself from any anxieties about any sort of obligatory social rules that have weighted you down um, around family, your role within it. So if you don't want to spend your holiday with Auntie Mary, Uncle George, you know, and any other person that you might class as family for the first time in like 20 odd years, um, I just want to say it's okay to be, to do that. It's okay with that. You just be okay with it. All right. So that's the energy of the fourth, I feel. I wanted to talk about a fifth, and every time I talk about a fifth house energy, I'm always mindful of that Madness lyric, "Welcome to the House of Fun," guys. And, it is about fun, it is about self expression, is fifth house energy anyway. It's the star, there we sit, it is the sun energy. But the energies of Aquarius moving through this house, they're going to ask you, is your smile genuine? Are you being authentic in the way that you're enjoying yourself, or have you been? Are you sort of waking up to the fact that you've maybe worn a little bit of a joker's mask along the way, and you might have worn that for many, many years, and is how you've been expressing yourself wearing that mask the real you? Well, obviously it's not. Um, do you really enjoy being with that group anymore, or that person anymore? And does it still give you a buzz to be with that? Are you still having fun? What is it that denotes fun for you now? Um, we're going through crazy times, guys. So there's been a lot of shift. I understand that, and I do talk about the shift, and that's another thing that I'm going to be uploading as well. We're talking about this shift, the great shift. So going back to this fifth house, what is it that makes you smile, truly smile? What is it now that you enjoy doing? Um, you know, are you being genuine? Are you being real? Are you being authentic? So this Jupiter planet, the freedom, is saying there's nothing wrong with dancing to your own tune now. So if you're not enjoying it anymore, if you're not getting off on that group, if you're not enjoying doing what you used to do, that same old, when it comes to everybody else's idea of fun, for instance, just know that some of the best actor solo performances, guys. So yeah, so if it's operating on your fifth, it's how you're having fun. What does it for you now, as far as enjoyment's concerned? What really makes you smile? All right. So these are questions that you're going to be asking yourself. So let's move on to the sixth house now. What can I say about the sixth house? I've got an awful lot, quite strong energies in my sixth house personally. So I've looked at this quite a lot, and the sixth house is naturally a Virgo house. Again, it's a mercurial energy. It is the house of discernment. It is a house of discrimination. Um, it's a house of self-sacrifice and can be a house of martyrdom and self-flagellation and all the rest of it, and a need for perfection, guys, you know. And I think that the sixth house energy, generally, wherever we've got this Virgo energy operating, depending on obviously the other factors within your chart, but it, you know, the sixth house does have a hard time, uh, you know, due to societal pressure in a way. All right. The energies of this year, I think, are going to allow you to grasp the concept of actually being okay, saying no. And I talk about this a lot with clients, you know, a small word, two letters. One of the hardest words to say is no. You know, I can't do it anymore, you know, and sort of overcome any feelings of that you owe something, or there is some sort of an indebtedness really around things, you know, something that you've always felt, oh, I've got to keep doing this, you know, because I owe them. There is this sort of subconscious, you know, subliminal feeling of lack, I think, within sixth house energy. So there's a real need to look at that. Yeah, when I talk about debt, I'm not particularly talking about money. You know, that's probably more second house than it is, well, eighth house actually with debt, sometimes as well. But there may be debt, but I don't think that's actually what I'm trying to give you here. It could be an area that you're dealing with on, but I think it's much deeper than that. So sixth house energy, it's about not being trapped in a self-destructive sort of behaviour because it's expected of you in some way, and that society says you should. And don't forget that, you know, Virgo, right? Perfection, right? And you know, when we have a little bit of an affliction sometimes, and I use that word generally now, within a chart, you know, we can go OCD. So we can be completely over the top with that sacrifice and that giving and that um, self-destructive energy of not feeling good enough. All right. So don't be trapped in this behavior, right? And Jupiter in Aquarius, Saturn in Aquarius, um, you know, the guilt of Saturn, right? But because it's in Aquarius, it's like I said, it's the shoot out the OK Corral, guys. So you know, it's okay for you to think, you know what, I have done enough. I do need to step back because I've done enough because this is self-destructive. So that's the sixth house, guys, I think. So let's move on to the seventh house. Now, the seventh house is the house of others. Um, it's the house of relationships, okay? Uh, and I think that one of the questions is going to be, who are my people now? All right, who are really my people? Who are really there for me? All right, and this is a question I think that seventh house or naturally Libra energy is going to be asking itself, if you like. So, you know, are your relationships growing, guys, or are they actually stagnating? You know, are you evolving? Are you constantly growing through this relationship? You know, is there evolution, or your relationship with others? You know, and if they are stagnating, I think that this energy is going to help you liberate yourself, you know, from these sort of traditional, sort of old-fashioned values in a way, more conventional values. You know, the ways of this Aquarian energy is all about who you're relating with now, right? And waking up to it. And where you thought everything was nicely balanced, you know, that seventh house, you know, you're finally waking up, actually it's not. And because all of us have been tripping through this Neptune energy of illusion, delusion, you know, which is now obviously dissipating as it's moving out of the station, it's really starting to sort of grind into direct motion now. You know, you've got to ask yourself, which hat have I been wearing within these relationships? And is it now time for me to have a change of headgear, guys? All right. So is it time for change? All right. Um, so, it can be people in your home, in your, your connections, your friendships. But it is very much about what makes you happy now, who makes you happy. Um, and I think that's going to be really, really important for you this year. So it's who you're relating with, how you relate, how you've been relating, has that fallen away, and do we have to make change? All right. So that's important. Okay, so that's seventh house. Eighth house. Now this is really interesting stuff. I'm going to have a little bit of a chat about this one. The eighth house energy is naturally Scorpio on the clock, obviously, but it's about sexual energy. Scorpio is psychology of the soul, which we did talk about, but it's also about sexuality. It's about sex, sexuality, and I think, um, you know, what sort of iconic idealism, both great Aquarian words there, have we absorbed, right, by social media, for instance, the tech, again, quite Aquarian, in regard to sexuality, of idolatry, and this illusion um, on a sexual attraction level. Yeah. And let's not forget about photoshopping, guys. Be mindful of that Neptune in Pisces. It's an illusion, guys. And I think Aquarius is now waking us up to that. There's going to be more and more of that. What do we deem to be sexy anymore? Is it still that sort of classic um, tall, dark, handsome, or blonde, buxom, whatever, you know, um, is that what makes it happen for you now? The type of connection, um, I think, what appeals to you sexually, that's something that's going to be really examined if these energies are transiting your eighth house. Is sexuality about a look? What is sexual for you? um, and who is sexual for you. What turned you on and what most definitely turned you off. That's a very Scorpio energy as well. Energy knows the Scorpio energy, eighth house energy. Um, yeah, it definitely discriminates between what it does and what it does not want, when it's experienced it. All right. So I think this Pluto in Scorpio generation, these souls that came in from 1983 to 1995, I think they've been really experiencing this energy quite a lot, and the subject, and I think they've been sort of subjected, if you like, to this false perception, I feel, right, about sexuality. And however, it's like, again, nipping back to this, what is deemed as sexual, right? Again, I talked about promiscuity within pornography, and what is the ideal, and we've moved so far away from naturalness, um, in that way, and this is why I think we're going to have a little bit of a shift back. So, what I would like to say to anyone where the energy is operating on the eighth house, don't judge a book by its cover, guys. When it comes to sex this year, and being attracted to a partner, or wherever we're going with that, whether or not you're gay, straight, transgender, it doesn't matter, whatever. But don't judge a book by its cover, guys, when it comes to sex, yeah, certainly, and what's attractive for you. So the ninth house, right? Ninth house, okay, naturally Sagittarius on the clock, but the ninth house energy is all about your belief systems. It's about philosophies. It's about self-belief. And how have your beliefs changed, right? And one big area is religion as well with Sagittarius. Truth, and how might that change during this year, that transit? And we're going to be looking at cultural changes as well here. I want to talk about that. How do we conduct ourselves in life now within the constraints of parental conditioning, U9 houses, and religious conditioning? And are you living your personal truth? You sort of exhausted those belief systems now, you know? And are you brave enough to speak the truth and say, no, I just don't want to do that anymore? So, the philosophies that we've held for a long time, we could be looking at change there as well. But I just wanted to look at religion, and I just wanted to tell you a personal story. I've got several Jewish friends, and it is their belief that they don't eat pork, as it is with Islam. And I have in the Hindu faith, they revere the cow, and I've got friends within that faith as well, close people in my life. They revere the cow, and therefore they don't choose to eat beef. Again, it's fine, but I actually know that my Jewish friends will nip out and have a bacon sandwich on the sly. Um, because they don't want the people to, they do this shamefully because they don't want the people to know that they're eating and enjoying a little bit of bacon sandwich. So please forgive my flippancy when I say that. I'm not here to question or criticise your belief systems, guys, or your religion. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just trying to make a point. So marrying out of culture, for instance, the Magiring within the Jewish faith, or marrying out of culture, marrying out of caste. I think that's going to become um, more prevalent. I think it's going to be okay, and I think there's going to be a lot of people over this next year and beyond, as we're moving towards this Aquarian energy and it becomes more powerful, that I think that people are going to allow themselves and give themselves permission to speak the truth and to step outside the constraints, if you like, where they're asked to love, and that may not be true love. All right, so again, moving away from an element of tradition. So I think that Aquarius, as it's moving through this ninth house energy, is going to offer that freedom of choice, and I think it's going to be a good thing. All right, so we can wait and see for that. So let's have a look at the 10th house, guys. So the 10th house is about it's a career house, right? It's about your social standing. It's about your place in society. Um, excuse me. It is a Saturn ruled house, and again, it's about the role game, if you like. So, have you played that role game for long enough within your career, within your social circle? Do you really want to remain limited and contained and conditioned by what's expected of you? Do you still want to take on the responsibility for the sake of tradition? For instance, my granddad, he was an engineer, my dad was an engineer, and so I'm an engineer. All right. Well, in my case, I'm not. I did my own thing. But basically, it's what if you prefer to pursue a career in biology or the law or whatever. So it's about an ability to free yourself from feeling the need to do the right thing and maintain that standing within the group. I say this many times, but who defines rightness, right? This is so it's about breaking away from that patriarchal conditioning. It's expected of. So breaking away from conventional roles, I think, and breaking away from always needing to make a mature choice. Ooh, and I am sort of mindful of that little nursery rhyme just popped in my head. Daddy's gone a hunting, right? He's gone to catch a rabbit skin to wrap the baby bunting in. Do you remember that? Probably not, but You know, I remember that. And so bringing home the bacon is not necessarily a male-dominated concept either anymore. So careers and role reversals, and this has been going on for a while, but I think this is certainly going to be this is going to start to escalate as well. So we're going to have a little bit role reversal and where that applies. Okay, so let's see if I'm right on that one. You know, there are a lot of stay-at-home dads, a lot of career women going out there now. It's very common that the women earn more than their spouses do and partners do. So it's fine. It's whatever floats your boat, guys. So yeah, I do feel that there are going to be changes around social standing and career and yeah, and the role reversals there. So it is all about change there. So let's have a look at the 11th house, guys. Now, and obviously, 11th house is naturally Aquarian. Okay, Aquarius, it's representative Aquarius. It's actually there's a duality there because it's there's a joint rulership, a little bit Saturn, and the other bit is Uranian, which of course is Aquarius. So we've got real shoots out here. We have got the OK Corral going on here with the 11th house. I think so for obvious reasons. I think this energy could be felt to its fullest, really, as we move forward. You know, in this transit. So it is going to be about rebellion. So looking at your tribe, you know, your like-minded people, you know, your social groups, your clan, you know, your closest, as well as your family, and how many times have you sort of thought, you know, you're sitting out there, you're going out, you're sitting there, and you're thinking, what the hell am I doing here? You know, why am I doing this? I'd rather be at home eating a bar of chocolate, watching Netflix. You know, it needs private time. 11th house energy needs private time. There's a need to detach, right? It needs an element of isolation. Does 11th house energy? You know, you need to detach, sort of come back online, if you like. And I've got dear family friends who is solarized through Aquarius. I have conversations with that friend, and they always say to me, I don't even know why I'm on this planet. Such is the alienating sort of energy of Aquarius, you know. So it is important that, you know, 11th house energy is used as it's transiting to do your own thing, yes, to speak your own truth, despite any sort of Saturnian judgment, that co-rulership there around your tribe, you know. And I also think that Aquarius often feels it's going to lose an element of uniqueness within that group. And what it needs to understand is that it can still be a group of one guys. So, you know, attached but semi-detached as well. It can be accepted when it does speak up and walk its own path around the tribe. So think about that. Okay. Right. We finally come to the 12th house. And I always think that the 12th house energy is one of the hardest to talk about. You know, we say that Pisces, the 12th house is the house of spirituality. It is. It's the house of altered state. To a degree. You know, it's the house that we go home to when the soul leaves the body and we return to that cosmic sea, the energy. It's yeah, it's a house of escapism. Okay. Pisces, let's have a look at it. Again, I've talked about that Christian symbol. Look at the glyph, the fishes, you know. So religion, man-made religion. Pisces, the hermetic, cloistered, monastic house, the house of spirituality. And I think the confusion that we've got between religion and spirituality, man-made religions and spirituality. And with the Jupiter and Saturn energy, we've sort of got the religious zealot, and and then we've got the heretic with the Aquarian Uranian energy. So it is a difficult one. you've got this sort of to and fro in this sort of toggling, if you like. I think it's going to be something that you've got to be looking at. So, if it's being on your 12th house, this is something you're going to be looking at. And I've always sort of described Pisces energy in this way. See yourself on the motorway, guys. It's snowing, it's foggy, and you throw on your full beam, and basically all that you get back is diffused light. You can't see a goddamn thing really, and those white lines of the boundaries. There's no boundaries there, so those white lines is where things have to stop. You can't draw the line. You're working with blind faith there, literally, guys. So this Neptune it's so hard to establish boundary within this 12th house. It's very difficult. And anybody who knows Pisces energy, and you've got people around you that solarized through Pisces and you know them well, then you will understand what I'm talking about. It is a bit of an unconscious world. It's a bit like fairyland, it's a house of illusion, illusion, imagination, all of that. But this Aquarian energy is going to wake us up to be more aware of to examine, spirituality and religion, and sacrifices, if you like, looking at that, where sacrifice begins, if you like, and where it ends, because we've got this toggling, we've got this confusion going on there, religion and spirituality, well, if I'm not, if I don't adhere to this, then I'm not a spiritual being. So there is that need to understand that you don't have to know yourself to the cross constantly, guys. This is not a martyrdom. And we look about the polarity, the 6th house, which is Virgo. We talked about that, where we're lacking. But here it's about where do you feel you're sacrificing too much, or where can you allow yourself to sacrifice, or, be non-sacrificial, right? So this transit is asking you to listen to that higher self, and hopefully offer you up a clearer vision, right, as we're going down the motorway with this blindfold. No, this is what I have to do, this is how it should be. So I think that it's going to allow you to correct any imbalances and any confusion around selflessness and selfishness. And I think it's important that you do that. So yeah, we all have to make sacrifices. We do. And we do it because we want to. But I think with Pisces energy, because of its link, or the 12th house energy, it's linked with organized religions, and the fact that you have to group prayer, for instance, if you're a churchgoer and you do follow organized religion, we don't have to do that. We can do that through meditation. It's a transcendence energy, but it is about sacrifice, and it is about the confusion between religion and spirituality. And where do you draw the line as far as hanging yourself up there and self-flagellation? So that's important, guys, for you to look at that carefully and think, hang on, I've done enough. I'm not going to sacrifice myself anymore. Or maybe you haven't done enough, but you do need to look at that. But I'm hoping that helps you as well. I hope so. I hope I explained that well. All right. If I didn't, guys, just message me. You can comment, and I will do my best to reply to you. So I just want to say a huge thank you for stopping by, and I hope that the volume on this particular video is good. I hope that you will check in with me, and as I say, as soon as I've got the tech, we're going to be looking more at the wheel. I'm going to be able to show you and demonstrate a little bit more with what I'm talking about with the nodes and so on and so forth, and how things are transiting and what's going on, and also the card work, which of course is my main drain, guys. So as soon as I get the cameras, as soon as I get good mics, and I can give you all these different angles and viewpoints, that's going to be great. So please like, please share, please subscribe, and take care, stay safe, and hopefully I'll see you very, very soon. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys. Bye now.